Hey, good morning. Welcome to the program here at SNSN. It's Mike and Paul. It's Monday morning, like always, but today's a little bit different compared to what we normally do. But we always do this every year, right, Paul?
Right.
Paul's a man of many words.
One day.
Where we do send invitations out to both the Republican Democratic Committee, Republican Town Committee, and the Democratic Town Committee to come in and bring the candidates in and to talk about their platforms and basically why you as the voter in the town of Griswold should vote for them. So we are going to start right off right now. We're going to welcome in Gary Bolak. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning.
And Amanda Brickey. How are you?
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having us.
Sure. No, glad to. They are both running for Board of Finance here in the town of Griswold. Now, Amanda, I want to start with you. You actually are currently on the Board of Finance.
Yes, I am.
And tell us how that all came about, because it wasn't via town election, was it?
That's correct. It was a bit of a unique situation. So I've actually expressed interest and have been trying to get more involved in the town of Griswold. So I started, I would say a few years ago, expressing interest, and I had tried to, I think I was trying to get into a vacant seat. Somebody had, I believe, resigned maybe midway through term.
I think it was Brian Baker.
Okay.
He was the chair. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had actually gone through 2 times where I was kind of interviewed by the board, and I, provided letters and explained myself. And so it's been a couple of years. And then more recently, I believe I've been on almost a year now, and I was appointed by our boards of selectmen this time. So the time has flown, but yes, I have been serving for almost a year now.
Okay. You also come from a family that has been very active and have served the town of Griswold for many years. If you want to talk on that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So my first actual experience with politics, I guess, was in 6th grade when my dad decided to run for first selectman of Griswold, which was highly embarrassing. And fun little story. My friends in 6th grade at Griswold had most certainly taken one of his beautiful color flyers and taped it to my locker. And you can imagine how embarrassing when I walked in that day in 6th grade to see my dad's face plastered on it. So ever since then, he ended up being selectman for a while, and then he went on to state representative. So I've been doing a lot of political activities related to supporting him, and letters and talking with people and being out there, T-shirts. So I do have a lot of years of experience of campaigning.
I my daughter probably could certainly understand and commiserate with you, because you know what it's like to have Dad's big red SNSN vehicle pull up right in front of school and say,
Right.
"Hey, come on, get in." Dad, no, Dad, no.
Yeah, at that age.
Yeah, she's 14.
So I'm no stranger to it.
Okay. So, what's been your most? You've been on for a year.
Mm-hmm.
What is something that you like about the Board of Finance? That why the Board of Finance as opposed to any other board or commission here in Griswold for you?
So I've definitely thought for a while about which boards I might be a good fit for with my experience and interest. And I took a lot of asking a lot of questions and figuring out which boards do what. The first thing I'll start with is what I've liked about the Board of Finance is what I have learned from my fellow board members. So I have found value in just listening a lot of the time, because it was such a steep learning curve, and asking Scott, who is our chair, a lot of questions, which he was always really responsive. So I feel like the onboarding and just learning as I go, not having that direct experience yet, was really helpful. Selecting the board, I know how critical budgets are to a town. I have created and developed budgets for health centers. I currently still do that in my job. While it's a different place, there's a lot of similarities as far as operationally, grants, things like that. And I believe that I pay attention to detail. I'm ethical, and I thought that aligned with the Board of Finance mission. I ask questions, I'm curious, and I don't accept the status quo just because things have always been a certain way. That doesn't mean that they should always stay that way. I think sometimes things are good and solid and we keep them, but otherwise we're evolving. Griswold has evolved. Everything's been evolving and changing around us, especially the past year. So I want to be a part of the positive change and keep us grounded and responsible with spending.
What is your financial background? What do you have? What do you bring from a financial perspective to the board as in your background of what you do daily?
Sure. Okay. So in the past, starting several years ago, I'm in higher level of management in federally qualified health centers. And so there is usually a tight budget, and there's 3 levels of budgeting that I've had to do. It's related to capital expenses. So our bigger projects, IT stuff. There is usually like productivity. So I'm worried about revenue coming in from visits. So I have to balance that with personnel. So staffing and making sure everything's paid for to get program supplies. Also with that is grants. So that was a whole separate thing. Writing grants, operating grants. So I've definitely developed those things, but then I also have to follow them. And then I work very collaboratively with chief financial officers, controllers, etc., in those systems.
Okay.
Very good. All right, Mr. Bullock. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
You are also running for Board of Finance. Now, have you served on any boards or committees in the town of Griswold current or before, or is this your first shot? Or?
In Griswold, I served on the Zoning Board of Appeals as an alternate.
Okay.
And every time I was an alternate, I ended up on the full board.
Ended up on the board.
Yeah.
Okay.
Each time.
No, what boards were you on or board?
In Griswold, that's the only one. In
Just the one, okay.
Plainfield, where I lived before I came to Griswold, I was on the Board of Finance and the Board of Education.
Oh, okay. So you've been on the board.
Yeah.
You've been on a board of finance already. Okay.
A couple of years as vice president. So I do have some experience looking over budgets and keeping, government in line.
Sure.
Where they're supposed to stay on each line item. That's what we did every month. We would look over every line item,
Absolutely,
see what it was compared to the year before.
Yeah, we have Scott Davison here. We've had him on numerous times, whether in studio or on the phone. So, and Paul, does he not talk about how everything's a fine line and everything? And we know the Board of Finance has the pencil in every town. Yeah. So, this is I would certainly stress to anybody that's watching or will watch this after we record it that pay attention to Board of Finance candidates.
It's probably the second
Because-
most important
Yeah,
committee in the town behind the selectmen.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So who did you serve with in Plainfield? Who was the first selectman?
Paul Sweet was
Paul
first.
Sweet. So
He
it's been a bit. So
yeah,
it's
he
been a
was
bit.
quite
Okay.
there for a long time.
Right. Right.
Don Gladding was there.
Oh,
when I
boy.
first-
Oh
well,
boy.
a couple of years that didn't last too long. So then
Yeah.
Paul came back.
So when did you move to Griswold?
About 10 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. And I wanted to get involved right away because it's in my blood to serve the community and I'm in. I enjoy it. I love meeting people. I love serving on the boards. The interaction and finding out what people's priorities are. I worked at Rogers Corporation, Griswold Rubber
Sure.
for 40
Yep.
years. So I know how families struggle sometimes, and I want to be there to represent, working families like myself and my
Like
family.
yourself and us
Yeah,
and
yep.
anybody else in the community. Because, I mean, what is it? The top 1% represents the top 1%. It's not me. I'm down here somewhere. You know. I make minimum wage, Gary. So who approached you? Did somebody approach you and say, hey, Gary, you'd be a great fit? Or did you come to the DTC and say, hey, look, I can make a difference here and this is what I can do?
And actually, I went for the Board of Finance when Amanda was going for the Board of Finance. We both went for it. She won the Democratic endorsement, and I congratulated her.
Mhm.
So this election coming up, one of our candidates couldn't serve anymore. So the chair and the vice chair approached me, and they knew I was interested in the Board of Finance. So I said, sure, I will.
Okay.
I will jump on.
Is there anything you want to tell the town of Griswold or any residents, as far as why? And Amanda, I'm going to ask you the same thing. So Gary, you're a little bit at a disadvantage here, but I'm going to ask. Somebody's got to go first. Why does a resident in the town of Griswold? I'm going to ask this of everybody too. Why did they vote for you as opposed to who you're running against?
Well, I can tell you that I feel I'm in a position with my experience on the Board of Finance and the Board of Education, the Board of Education.
In past experiences,
In past
right? Sure.
experience, right?
And it's small town. It's small town stuff.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Griswold and Plainfield are very, very similar.
So knowing both budgets, that's pretty important. Board of Education is always the biggest part of a budget in any town. So I feel I have some experience in that. I feel I can share the working family, like all of us, that how to deal with budgets and try to keep the budget, in line and try to give the best services that we can.
Okay, man, the same question. Sometimes it's worse when you have time to think about it, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good question. It is. I believe that I'm one of the newer people around the table at this time. So I think that one of the things that is more unique, I would say, is just that. So I'm really open and I am very collaborative with both political parties. And I think that sometimes somebody who's newer might bring a different lens to view what's going on and even looking
That's a good
back
point,
at
yeah.
the history. So I would say that would be my unique edge that I have.
Paul, did you have any?
Well, I just have to go back to ask him the same question. Being finance is very important. So I know you were probably part of the board in Plainfield, but what really is your experience when it comes to finance? Because I think that's what the people look at. Because this is a very important
I can't
job.
say I have a degree in any kind
That's
of
okay. Degrees don't mean
finance.
anything.
I just when I was on the board, I studied it, and I was able to. When we go to each department, we would ask questions. I would learn from what I was when I was on those boards, departments, how they use it, where they use it, what isn't necessary, what the priorities are. So if I'm going to say that's my experience, being there and talking to the departments and concentrating on the details.
Okay.
And it's, and I mean, to their credit and anybody else that comes in these doors this morning to talk to us, being in front of a microphone and a camera,
It's tough.
it's like,
I
what do
know,
I
so-
do? So, So we appreciate you guys, coming in,
Yeah.
so
I mean, I'm not trying to put you,
get it,
I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but a lot of people say, well, why is this person qualified to be on a finance board?
Right.
So I think it's important that
That's a
people
valid
find out
question.
what kind of experience that you have.
I mean, all the boards are important, but
Yeah,
the
I
Board of
mean, you have
Finance
to
is
have the-
probably one of the more
Yeah.
important.
You know,
ones
To
in
write
town.
the checks.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, you have to look at the priorities of the town,
Yeah.
work with the team,
Mhm.
try to support infrastructure like sewer, water, seniors, and the school. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to prioritize. You have to go through the budget.
Yeah.
I have that experience. I've done it many times on the Board of Education as well,
Yeah.
on the finance side. So I feel I do have some experience.
Okay.
So if it ends up in a dead heat, are you open to a celebrity death match?
Sure.
There you
Sounds
go.
like fun.
Fighting time. Anything else that you folks want to say, or that maybe because we only have 15 minutes together, maybe because I know you have to go to work,
Do.
and
Yeah.
I'd just like to say that, if I am elected, I'd like to support the Democratic team and support the getting things done, like I just said, supporting the expanded tax base in Griswold so that we can keep the mill rate under control, such as the sewer on 138. I mean, the sewer on 201 and the water on 164 expansion, so we can expand the tax base.
got it. Amanda, any follow?
Sure.
Final,
Yeah, thank you. I agree with Gary, and I'm here to be collaborative and listen to what residents are interested in and what they'd like to prioritize, and stay balanced, rational, ask questions, be curious, and also take a stand when need be.
and just so you know, Kevin Cunningham says, "Good morning, Gary."
Hi, good morning, Kevin.
How do you know him? Yeah, I'd never.
was
Don't even. No.
He was out. Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
No, we got along well. And,
we do
and,
too. Kevin was just here this Friday.
Oh, was it?
Actually, he's a good guy.
Yeah. We ran some teams together.
I bet.
In politics.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you very much. I
Thank
appreciate it
you.
Thank
for
you.
coming on in,
Thank
Gary.
you.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
And Amanda.
Thank you very
good luck.
much. Appreciate it.
All right. Those are these two fine people right here are running for Board of Finance here in the town of Griswold. That's Amanda Brickey and Gary Bolak. So you're gonna take your coat off. It's getting hot in here. Well, So let's go ahead and let's invite in our next guests. These are going to be folks for the Board of Education. And here they come. These are now the next folks that are coming there, Board of Education candidates in the town of Griswold. Good morning. Let's fix the microphones for you. Stu, your old hat, you know how to do it. Just want to talk right into the blue light.
Talking to the light.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, folks.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. I just want to also say that there are one candidate we are missing this morning, and that's Paige Proctor, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So we do want to mention Paige Proctor as well, that she is also running for the Board of Education. So, Stu, good morning. I'd like to start with you, if you don't mind, sir. You have been on the Board of Education for many years. You served as chair, and tell us why you want to continue.
Well, as a Griswold resident, as someone who was born here and went through the Griswold school system totally, my original reason for becoming a Board of Ed member is if I had not had the teachers pushing me in Griswold and prodding me to, then I don't know if I would have even finished high school. Neither one of my parents ever did. No, I was a farm boy. Farming, when I was a kid, you could still make money at it.
It's tough now, isn't it?
Yes, it's impossible. But I had the teachers who just kept on me and pushed and basically made me apply to college, introduced me to sports. And it's sort of, you got to give back. And that's how I feel about it. Whenever I hear some kids say, well, I can't really afford to go to college, my response always is, if that's true, then you really can, because there are so many programs, and which I wound up using to go to college also. I mean, based upon your income, the kind of scholarships and grants that you can get are really great. So I just want to encourage kids to look at college as an option. It's not your only option, but you got to look at it as an option. And sadly, it seems to be more and more things that you pick up in college, learn in college, allow you to be successful. I mean, it's and successful isn't always making the most money, too.
Right. Exactly. Now, Jen, give us an idea why you would be a good fit for the Board of Education here in the town of Griswold. Now, you already serve in the town as registrar, correct?
Democratic Registrar of Voters.
Okay. So you're aware
I am.
of the procedures, and probably more so than most, just because of what you have to do.
Mhm.
Keep people in line, make sure they're following the right protocol, if I'm not mistaken.
That's true. And with my full-time job, I work for the state of Connecticut writing policy. I work for the Office of Policy and Management.
Okay.
So I read and write legislation for a living.
All the time,
I
yeah.
oversee tax collectors and assessors, reval companies. So I'm familiar with writing policy, bringing people to the table and listening to what they have to say to create a policy that everybody can maybe not like and buy into, but is palatable. So my experience in that way will help me listen to what the constituents, parents, students have to say and how we can craft a budget, policies that would help move us forward, whether or not it's with curriculum or whether it's with sports or after school activities or things like that. Not every student is going to excel in grades. They need other ways and avenues to be successful. And if you can show someone and give them confidence, they're going to be not only an asset to themselves, they're going to be an asset to us later.
Mhm.
So I want to use all the things that I've learned. I have a son that's at the high school. He's a junior. So I have a good idea of what I think is happening, at least in that school. And I think I have some things to offer as far as education and experience.
Did you want to?
I just want
Wanna
to
com-
jump on what Jen said. The Board of Ed is driven by state laws and by policy that is recommended to follow those state laws. So certainly, having someone who works with policy all the time and understands the purpose of it, and it's not just a routine. I think that's critical to the board. I mean, I've served on the policy committee for many, many years. And I know that my legal background as an attorney helps me there tremendously.
Absolutely. I'm sure.
So Jen would be a welcome addition to the Board of Ed.
I think it's important that all candidates tell the residents what you really get back.
I just want to let people know, but it's Paul Lash that is sitting kind of off camera right now because we want to make sure the candidates
Right.
are on camera. But
Yeah.
Paul is the one that's talking.
I think it's important that people know your background because I really don't know you. Now you just told me about this, just learned something. So I hope that information is getting out there so the residents know who they're voting for. You know?
And one of the things I'd like to say is I'm not afraid to go back to a statute or a policy that's been written before and read it again and read it to the public and say, it doesn't really matter if we've been doing it this way all this time.
Yeah.
The statute says we should be doing it this way. So let's take another look at how we do things to be sure, number one, we're in compliance, we're doing the right thing, and nothing's going to come back to us later and blindside us and say, you should have been reading the statute.
Right.
And understanding, interpreting statutes is probably the most difficult thing anybody can do. And if we can do that properly and implement it and create policies and procedures that are based solely on the statutes, they change from time to time. But if you have a good understanding of that, you'll have a good, solid foundation.
If I may, I
This
just
is your
want
time.
well, because Paige Proctor's not here,
Mhm.
and you're trying to get some background on her.
I think it's important that people know. That.
Sure.
Paige Proctor has a stepdaughter already in the Griswold school system, has another child that's going to be going into kindergarten. So she she wants to see the Griswold school system improve. She has an associate's degree. She has a bachelor's degree. She's also has her paralegal certificate. I met her when she needed to, in order to complete a paralegal certificate, had to work in a law office for a while. And when I found out that she was forced to work for nothing, it worked very well for me. So it's
We get the same stuff here.
But Paige is once again, she's a person who has kids in the school system, wants to see the school system better, knows how to read statutes. She does. I mean, that's part of what it is. And that's an important part. I mean, our focus always has to be on the kids and making school better for them. And better is challenging and figuring out how you challenge them and how you get them to want to absorb what they need to absorb to succeed.
Okay. I have a question. I want to move in the business of education, and I want to say the business of education. It's become more so a checks and balances with sending town students, coming into Griswold, and also kids leaving. So where's that balance? Are we actually adding to the bottom line with that? And second thing is you mentioned being a farmer and how hard it is right now to make a living being a farmer, which I find just sad. What do you tell kids that are leaving because of sports to Killingly for a VOAG program, but they're going there really, I believe, for sports? What can we do here in the town of Griswold, or what are we prepared to do to make it so these kids are going to stay here? Kids going from Lisbon, going to NFA. Why do we want to keep them here? Which I think, what is something that we can do as a board?
Well, the first thing you have to do is find out why they're going. So have candid conversations with the kids, with their parents. Why did you choose that? Why?
It's a great idea.
Why didn't you come to Griswold? Tell us what we could have done to keep you here. And after you have 10 or 15 conversations like that, there's got to be some common thread. And once you decide or determine what that is, then you come back to the board and you try to figure out, is it in the budget to do this? Can we do it? What can we do to change what we currently do to keep these kids that grew up here, that live here? But ultimately, if we don't have a VOAG program and we have a student that really is dying to go to VOAG, I'm thankful that they have the opportunity to go to another place to get that education. But if we can bring it back home and keep them home, I think that we have a duty to them to at least investigate why they're leaving, how we can fix it, and if we can, to bring them back.
Stu?
I've not had a conversation with any parent or student. I've had people tell me that part of the reason we're losing students or not attracting students is kids who want to play football. Our football field is in deplorable condition. The reason it's in such deplorable condition is it's been opened up to the community. If you talk to Marty Osger, who was on the building committee that built that high school, he will tell you that field was designed to be used once a week for one game and not to be used constantly like it is by our youth football teams. And it's so our field, it can't, no matter how much money you put into it, for a sod field, you just can't bring that up to the condition.
Right.
Also, our track, which is 20 plus years old, needs a tremendous amount of work done to it. What I've heard, and that, like I said, I have not had the conversation, but I believe it because I've had our administrators telling us this, is kids are going to Killingly in that VOAG program, not because they want to become farmers, but because they want to play sports. I've heard that too. I was one of these people who did not want a turf field. I felt it was having kids play on cement. Turf fields have become a very different thing from what they were 20 years ago. It's my feeling now that Griswold really has to take a long, hard look at should we be bringing in a turf field, because I see it as an investment now to keep our kids here who are going to other places and also to attract kids. I mean, the wonderful thing about Griswold is if you want to play a sport, you can. I mean, it's a small enough school. I remember when I used to play football and then coached for a while, volunteer coach, kids would say, do you think I can make the team? And my answer always was at Griswold,
Sure.
is if you want to, the answer is yes, because all it is that mental attitude. So I think kids are looking around. They're looking for shopper. It's a nicer field, and you can't hide the fact that Assad Field has just been overused to the point where it's in sad shape.
Oh, I agree. Drainage is rough out there too. I'm not going to mention any kids or anything like that, you know. I mean, but I will say that Griswold's sports program, as far as I love it. I love it. I mean, Steve Cravino, I think, does a wonderful job, you know, with opportunity. Case in point, our football team. There are a few kids that go to Wheeler. They would not have a football team or any football experience if it wasn't for the co-op with Wheeler. There's a kid named Kyle Kessler, you know, just because he's an amazing football player. Wheeler does not have a football team. We do. So the co-op is wonderful. So I think there's such a great base of education in sports here in Griswold that just needs to be, you know, enhanced.
And when you talk about sports, for me, the most important thing about sports is team.
Mm-hmm.
And also knowing that if you work hard, you can succeed. And that was probably one of the biggest lessons that I took out of Griswold High School, is that it's team sports. And if you work hard, you can succeed.
Yourself, you were a football star.
I don't know that I was a star, but
well, from what I understand, you know, you did quite well, and now you're an attorney in town. So I think working in town and coming up through that, I think it's a good example right there, Stu.
I was an undersized football player. I would not have ever made the team at NFA. I mean, one of the stories I like to tell is about Bill Dawley, who lived in Lisbon.
Lisbon, yeah.
And initially went to NFA and found out very quickly that the non-recognition of who he wasn't going to make the baseball team. He wound up an all-star pitcher in the majors.
Yeah.
And he came to Griswold to get that. I mean, it's so we're small enough to give opportunities to everyone. And that's what I want to see us do. Give opportunities to everyone.
Look at Archie Drobiak. He was drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates, you know, out of Griswold. So it happens. It can happen. So
yes.
And you learn so much more on a field than you can possibly learn in a classroom. You learn different things, but you learn things
you were so right.
in a team sport that you can't learn by taking a test. You know, camaraderie, loyalty, communication, teamwork, inclusion, all those things that you want to instill in the kids. We could really be getting a bigger bang for our buck if we enhanced our team sports.
Okay. Any other areas that you would look into? I mean, you were already on the Board of Education, like I said, and you've had great experience with the Board of Education throughout the years.
Certainly, I would like to see where we could give more of a technical background to our kids. And I think that's what we're trying to do now with the way we're changing what used to be libraries, and you can't even call them that anymore.
Media centers.
Yeah. It's so that there's that happening. I think for our kids who are looking to colleges, I would like to see more support so that they understand that the best colleges are not out of reach. I mean, we had a kid, I think it was 7 years ago, who got into Harvard. His only cost while he was at Harvard was the gas to drive there and to pay the tolls to get there and back. That was it. Kids don't understand. And coming out of Griswold was an advantage for him. I know it was for me, to the college I went to. It because we were a low income community. Surprisingly, that's an advantage when you're trying to get into very competitive colleges. It's what they look at.
Yeah. Jen, any what do you want to tell the? I mean, because we got to move on to our next candidates. What do you want to tell the voters of Griswold? And why does Jen Gauthier deserve your vote?
I think I deserve their vote because I am honest, transparent. I'm willing to listen and take what I hear and craft things that will be best for everybody. One of my biggest things is inclusion and how we are making our group transparent and making it accessible to those. If COVID has taught us nothing, it's taught us that people are watching. They want to watch. They want to be included, whether or not it's in person or remotely. If we can do that and include more people in the conversation, I think we get a better end result. So including more people at the outset when we create the policies, when we come up with the rules, when we do the budget, the better end product we will have.
Stu, same question for you, sir.
For me, I'm still excited about Griswold education. I'm excited that we can continue to help our kids improve, if it's to go out into the work world or to go on to college. I mean, it's still a challenge and it's still exciting. And even though I've been on 20 plus years this time, I still would like to see Griswold get better, and that's part of my job.
I understand that, and I certainly appreciate that answer too. I mean, I went through the entire Griswold school system. I went through the entire Griswold athletic system, both in youth sports and also, at Griswold High School myself. By my belly, you'd never know that, but I did, and it was I loved it. It's enhanced, yeah. So there's a special place in my heart for Griswold High School, and this is one of the reasons why we do the games and stuff like that. It's because you know what, you got to be a fan. If you're not a fan, then that love is not going to come through, and that's why I wanted to ask you the questions that I did this morning.
Appreciate
Thank
the
you.
time.
No problem. So thank you very much, Stu.
Enjoy the opportunity.
All right.
Take care.
Appreciate
Stay
it.
healthy.
Thanks.
Have a great day.
And I didn't know what you did for a living, so it was nice to find that out. So that was good
My
stuff.
technical title is Municipal Assessment Professional,
Gotcha.
but I work for the Office of Policy Management, and I oversee certification and training for tax collectors, assessors, reval companies, and their employees.
Keeping them honest.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank
a
you
great
very
day.
much.
Who's next?
Okay. It's a good question. Let's see. Hey Val, let's bring in Valerie.
Val, you're up. It's fun. It's fun. Enjoy.
We're waiting for Val Pudba. Hello, lovely lady.
Hello.
Come on, right over here.
Shut the door.
Oh, come on. It gets hot in here. We're sweating.
It's warm in here.
Oh, all right. There's more people on the other side of that camera than in that room.
Huh?
There's more people on the other side of that camera than there are in that room.
That's
over-
okay.
That's all right. All right. In here, it's
Am I-
just us.
Am I in or on? On or off right
You
now?
are on right now. Hi, Val. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Good. I'm going to come right out, and I'm going to say, it's nice to have you here.
Mhm.
Anytime that I've ever had to go down to the town hall, the clerk's office for, whatever reason, you've always been nice and friendly and kind, and whether,
Helpful.
yeah, I'm sure there are times that I've walked out and went, oh, Jesus. But you've always been very kind and considerate, and I appreciate that. How long have you been the town clerk in the
I've
town?
been the town clerk for the past 7 years.
Okay.
I've been with the town for the past 33 years. Just going on October 4th, I'm on my 34th year now.
Okay. What did you do before being the town clerk?
I was the assistant town clerk.
Okay.
And
Who-
prior to that, I was the assistant to the assistant town clerk.
Oh, okay.
If we had those.
I didn't know they had one of
Me
those.
either.
It's not a budget anymore. That's
I
why.
don't know if anybody has that anymore.
Yeah,
but
they used to be called a gopher.
which what I did, I made a lot of copies and stuff like that. That was
Got
because Alice was probably retiring and Ellen was taking over, and
So, what is one of the things that you really enjoy about your job?
I enjoy seeing the people. A
Mhm.
lot of them talk about the dogs, especially during dog licensing season.
Mhm.
They're always talking about them and show me pictures and stuff. And I just like being with the people. Mhm.
Come on, Paul. You're supposed to be an interviewer here. You're supposed to be a professional. Have questions at the ready.
Do you have any questions?
No, not Paul.
That's pretty tough because you've been there for so long.
For so long.
So I can't ask you what your background is.
I think that's a great statement, though. You've been there for quite some time within the town. You know the inner workings of, I would say, not just your department, but probably
But most of
every
them,
department
yes.
in the town.
Mhm.
So why would we not vote for you? Tell us why we would not vote for you. I've been asking everybody why they would.
I don't have any reasons why somebody shouldn't vote for me. I think that I've been there for all those years. I have a lot of experience.
Mhm.
there's no reason not to.
This is you're usually cross endorsed.
Usually, but not this year.
Okay.
Jamie O'Neill decided to run against me.
Okay. Now you guys worked together for some time.
We worked together. I hired her as my assistant in whatever year I took over. It was 2014.
Got
Yes.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
What's your favorite part of the job other than dogs?
Dogs. Well, we see a lot of stuff. I mean, we have
Yeah.
people coming in and talking, especially when somebody passes away. They talk about what they do for probate and stuff like that. I mean,
You
have
go
a-
down if you can go down
lot
like the what the town clerk does.
for
The town.
the
it's-
day.
yeah, the day. Give us an idea. A
Basically,
rundown.
we do a lot of land recordings, like mortgages, releases, probate deeds, that type of stuff. That
Mhm.
basically fills up a lot of the day. A lot of it was with phone calls that people call and they want information over the phone. Of course, we do dogs, but not right now. Only
Mhm.
during June. That's the dog licensing month. Do a lot of vitals. People want their, birth certificates, marriage licenses. We have a lot of deaths right now that people coming in for.
Wow.
You did- no.
Well, no, I think there's a lot of real estate things going on.
Oh,
too.
I mean, they're
Yeah.
buying and selling
Oh, yeah, it's crazy.
Like crazy.
they're
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, we have brought in a lot of money, to the town and to the state
Mhm.
with all the houses that are being sold right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people coming from Rhode Island.
Really?
Hmm.
There's now as far as like you're not just working as the town clerk in the town, but you have a background really. Your family, and yourself have been served the community for many years. Of course, your husband, police officer.
Police officer in
Your
Jersey City.
your son,
My
Jay, a police officer.
Yeah,
So there's it seems like it's in the Pudva
it's
blood.
in the Pudva blood. Yeah, I
You
guess so.
Then there's
to
Rick.
serve.
No. Well, Daria, she's a nurse.
There's
that's
a nurse. Yep.
so I don't know.
Two of them work for the state. Yep.
How's Rick doing? I haven't seen him.
He's doing good.
He's okay. Good. I haven't seen Rick in a long time. I did see Daria the other day,
Mhm.
which is good. How do you? I gotta ask. How do you feel about running against Jamie? Is it difficult knowing that you hired her, you trained her?
Very difficult.
Okay. I would think that would be when I first saw that. I'm like,
Very difficult.
yeah.
I haven't heard from her. It's not like she came up to me and said, "Hey Val, I think I'm going to run against you for the job."
Yeah.
Never heard anything from her. So yeah.
Whatever the outcome is, I hope you two remain cordial with each other.
Yeah, but I haven't seen her.
No.
I'm sure she's working somewhere else right now
Oh, she is.
because she left my office in January.
Yeah.
Oh, she did.
Right.
Yeah, she
right.
left then.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah.
Because every time I went in there, the two of you always seemed to be very friendly and friends and stuff like that. So when I saw this, I'm like, huh. It really kind of made me
Wonder why.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure. Sure, she has aspirations.
Right.
I mean, I'm a friend of Jamie, out of this, so this has got nothing to do with it. But I'm sure she has aspirations too. But do you feel that your history, as well as your qualifications, would trump that?
Oh, probably. She is a certified town clerk. Because I think after you have to become a certified town clerk for this town
Mhm.
within 3.5 years of working. So she is one.
Mhm.
I taught her everything she knows.
And don't get me wrong, I adore Jamie. I think she's a
Yeah,
wonderful person.
she's a
so.
fine person as far as I know. I just was a little bit surprised that she was doing that. That's all.
Okay. Do you think you will be victorious in the end?
I certainly hope so.
See, there you go. We got to have the power of positivity, Val. There we go. Well, honestly, you've been doing the job for quite some time, and I'm one of those. And Jamie, please don't take offense to this. But I think it's one of those things. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Mhm.
Kind of thing. So, I do wish Jamie well. I honestly do. And whoever
She's
comes
also
out-
running for the Board of Education.
Yeah, whoever
You know
whoever
that.
comes out, with the position, I think Griswold will be well served.
Yeah, I do too.
Whether it's
Mhm.
going to be yourself or Jamie. But I do want to wish you well, of course. I think you've been doing the job wonderfully for years, and I don't know,
Anything
much
else?
past to that.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to tell the victors of Griswold?
Well, just come out and vote November 2nd, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m.
She's the first person that said, "Nope, just come out and vote."
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you cannot come out to vote, come down, see us, and we'll give you an absentee ballot application
All
and a ballot.
All right. Well, good luck, Val.
All right. Thank
All
you.
It's Valerie Pudva running
you.
for town clerk for the first time that I can remember, not unopposed.
I know.
Well, what? No. You are opposed,
Yes.
but not cross-endorsed, I should say.
Yes.
Leave that open. We need air. We need air. Thank you, Val.
Yeah.
All right, Val's running for town clerk.
Wow. Been here a long-
Who's
been
next?
here a long time.
Let's see. How about okay? How about Butch Santier? Did he make it? No. Court, come on in.
Other things to do.
Can we leave the door open, or do you care if we leave the door open? Because it's hotter than hell in here when the door closed.
Yeah, it is hot. Nice.
to lunch.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Oh.
Enjoy listening to you.
Here.
Oh, I can't sit over here.
No.
No. We need. No. He's off camera. We
Well, I
need-
know I'm not out of the camera over there.
No. Would you rather be off the camera? It's up to you. I mean,
No, this is fine.
okay. All right. Good morning.
Good
I've been trying to
morning.
get you in here for a long time for other things, but now you're here as a candidate here in the town of Griswold. Why don't you tell everybody, Mr. Kinney, what exactly you're running for?
I'm running for a regular seat on the Board of Planning and Zoning. Actually, this would be my re-election. It'd be my
Okay.
second term at that seat,
Okay.
second full term.
Oh, okay.
I keep pointing to you like maybe you have some.
No, I'm fine. I'm glad he said that because I really don't know you. To be
You
honest
guys
with
have never met?
No.
No,
He's once in a while he'll make comments and
I know.
into the.
It's all
Well,
right.
That's a different
we
thing
met-
altogether.
We did.
briefly years ago at a roundtable discussion.
Really? See, I don't remember. Wow.
So why planning and zoning? Why not any other board? Why is planning and zoning your cup of tea, so to speak, or where you would excel?
Because it's land use, land planning. It's kind of the guide of where the town is going to go, where it wants to be,
Yeah.
and where the people want it to be. And I think, what do you want your town to look like? What do you want in your town, and why do you want people to be in your town? And so planning and zoning makes the decisions on what can be here. We are guided by our regulations, and most of those regulations are from state statute. That's where our authority comes from.
I think what's important that people know what your background is that qualifies you to be on this board. And I think a lot of people don't know that. And I think it's important that they know who you are and where you're coming from.
Right?
So I'm asking that question.
Okay. Well, I won't bore people by saying, I've lived here X amount of years.
Yeah.
We've been here.
How long have you been here? No,
long
really,
time.
you have a wonderful plot of land. I mean, so go ahead. I'm sorry, but
I'll just say generations.
gotcha. Okay, that's fair.
Went through the Griswold school system, went to UConn, chose several different courses of studies. Of course, like many other people, you change your direction while you're at school.
Absolutely.
And came out with a degree in business, real estate, and actually land use planning. I didn't put it to use. I stayed with the farm, but I have that background. And my father was also involved in the Planning and Zoning Commission here in town many years ago, back actually when planning and zoning first came about.
Mhm.
And I'd like to think that because this is my home and I love my home, I want this to be my kids' home, my grandkids' home. That's why I think it's important to keep Griswold a good place to live. whether that's through changes or whether that's through keeping things status quo. It all depends what the town needs.
What do you feel like now as a member of P&Z? What do you feel the town needs? And in
Sustainable-
retrospect, what do you feel that it doesn't need?
All right. Well, we'll start
You can
with
go
what
either
it
way.
needs. Sustainable growth. Growth that's going to stay here, create a good tax base.
Mhm.
We can get into a different subject about property taxes.
Mhm.
My own personal opinion, it's a regressive tax. There was different commissions that studied the property tax. One was the Blue Ribbon Commission for Connecticut. And they felt there were other ways to raise revenue for individual towns, counties, et cetera.
Right.
But going beyond that, right now, the only source that a town has is through property tax. So if you don't grow your tax base, you have trouble funding what your town needs. So you don't want to focus on businesses that come and go. And unfortunately, a lot of retail businesses,
Come and go.
especially big box retail. Yeah, I mean, you can name bunches of them that
Sure,
are
sure.
now in the boneyard.
Radio Shack.
Grants, Caldors,
Caldors,
Ames,
yeah.
And more to come.
yeah. With the likes of Amazon and
Yeah.
internet,
Yeah.
you don't need to go to the box store.
No, you don't.
Very, very true.
That is true.
So with that being said, how does one Mr. Kinney feel about data centers? Is that sustainable in the town?
Well, please understand, I'm not being
Nope.
evasive,
Nope.
but when you sit on the planning and zoning
The
board,
reason why I say that is because, I mean, what's been served up to the town of Griswold and the residents is that this is an opportunity for Griswold to grow.
that's
So,
true.
so how does maybe the Planning and Zoning Commission feel about this? Is this something sustainable? I've heard people say it's not sustainable. It's something that could go by the wayside. Now all of a sudden, we have all these empty buildings with nothing to do with them. So maybe that's probably an unfair question.
Well, I'll answer
So,
it as best
okay.
as I can.
Okay.
I don't want to sound evasive, but first of all, when you sit on the planning and zoning board, you have to be objective.
Mhm.
You cannot be predisposed. By being predisposed, you want to say, I'm against this, I'm for this, blah, 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 because you want to hear all the facts, all the presentations at that moment, at the hearings.
Yep.
And then you make your decision based on all the information that's been presented and how it fits with the town's plan of conservation and development.
It's a very fair answer.
So my personal opinion, I withhold
Yeah.
at this time.
I don't think that's important. That probably was unfair to ask you that in this forum, especially. So, but no, that was a good answer. And I'm going to go ahead and mention a comment right here from Pam Padalano. She says, "Go Cortland.
Thank you.
We need intelligent, educated people on our commissions and boards." And I did not know what your educational background was personally. I mean, we never really had yourself and I, a conversation of the like. So personally, it's good to find out, what it is. And I've always respected you in the community from what I've seen.
Thank you.
And the participation that you've played, in just in our little shows that we do and stuff like that. So no. I'm serious.
Rare
I mean,
comments.
but the comments
See,
are
I think it's important because what happens is a lot of candidates run, they put signs out and this, but nobody knows the individual.
Mhm.
I mean, you see your name, well, who the hell is that? Is that a relative of somebody else? That's the whole thing that people think. But if they look at their background and say, is this person qualified? That's why I asked those questions this morning. I want to find out if people are really qualified to do that
Mhm.
job. And so far, I've seen people, yeah, they are qualified. That's why I asked you that question, because like me, a lot of people don't know who you are. I mean, you've been sitting on the board for a long time, or a couple of years, right? But who is this guy?
I'm sure a lot of people know the name,
Right.
but maybe they don't know
But
who you are.
but there are a lot of other people moving into town now. The town is turning over.
True.
There's a lot of new people coming into town.
Yeah.
So they need to know who you are as an individual and what qualifies you to be on that board. So,
Well, I could say my wife and I were both involved with the school system
Mhm.
as our children went through the school system, which is pretty much how every family deals
Sure.
participating.
sure.
we had 4 children go through the school system. They all did very well at the school. We were very fortunate. We have some fantastic teachers. I can't say enough about some of the teachers. It opened up doorways for my children, and I'd like to see that continue here in town.
Speaking of continuing, Bob asks a question. Where do you see the town in 5 years?
I think there will be some growth, but I think it's all slow, and it has been slow since 2008, when we had our Great Depression, recession, whatever you want to call it at that time. I don't think Connecticut and this region ever fully recovered, and I think we still have a long ways to go. Of course, growth is changing. You don't, like I said, retail is very cyclical, and a lot of that is fading. So we have to find the new areas of growth, and it has to be long-lived.
And which is what you said at the beginning of this conversation, sustainable growth. And it's hard to find that. And what kind of businesses right now, give you that? What kind of businesses like that will come to the town? It's hard to find. I think that, and I mean, we're in a very unique position as far as where the land that's available with access to 395 and
With the land,
you
also have to have the infrastructure.
Bingo.
And
it's coming. Hopefully.
it's coming. But when people say, well, how come Griswold has been behind? A lot of times it's infrastructure. If businesses can't come in and hook up right away, they're going to go to the places they can first.
Do you think that once the infrastructure does go in, say like 201, 164, that we will possibly see a little bit of a boom?
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know how it can't, because I think you're spot on. If I'm looking for a place and, I can't hook up right away, like you said, I'm looking elsewhere.
Right.
I'm definitely looking elsewhere. So,
I mean, our timing might be good too, because right now nobody's really doing anything because of COVID.
That's right.
We're hopefully going to be starting that infrastructure, as you probably know, next spring. So when that gets in, COVID probably is going to ease out.
We all hope so.
We all hope so. Then maybe things will start to go. So even though we got COVID, the slowdown is helping us get the infrastructure in time, I think.
anything you want to tell the voters of Griswold of why they should vote for Cortland Kinney for P&Z?
I guess I would say that I really enjoy being on the board. It's interesting. I want to be able to help the town. I care about the town. As I said before, this is my home. It's been my home. I love my home. I love my town. I love the people in the town. We have a great place to live here. I wouldn't trade this for any metropolis or anywhere else. This is the place to live. And I think we've got a great future. And I think our Planning and Zoning Commission can be a very big part of it.
Very good. I agree. I think this is the place to live. I've been here my entire life, except for one 5-year stint where I moved for business purposes for a job, but it came right back. I've always said this is kind of like my Mayberry, and it really hasn't. What do you say to people that don't like change? Because there are a lot of people in, whether it's Griswold, it's Plainfield, Lisbon, they don't like change.
What is it change they're going to notice?
Explain.
The different developments that right now they're proposed, but they're still in limbo.
Right.
How will that affect each part of the town? The biggest impact will be to the tax base.
Right.
Visually, unless you go to those locations, you're not going to see it. You're not going to hear it. I suppose you'd like to see Jewish City be revitalized. other businesses come in.
I think we need a supermarket.
Well, that's one of the things that, you know,
That's always a
people
possibility,
need.
right?
But then you've got the Eastern Connecticut Performing Arts Association. I mean, they've tried for a long time to
Mhm.
work with the theater next door or just bring it into town. There was a proposal with the Heritage Corridor project to have a type of amphitheater.
Yeah.
So they could bring in productions. And this is the type of thing that sets towns apart is crafts, music, art, vampires.
Yeah.
There's things to capitalize.
It's marketing, man. You know, I mean, it's interesting things. Look at Salem, Massachusetts, for Christ's sake.
Exactly.
They're not a huge town, but they grew because of a marketing idea.
Mhm.
People love that stuff.
Even Lizzie Borden is making out.
She's richer than she's ever been.
I mean, they visit her house all the time.
Yeah.
So there you go.
But I think there are opportunities here. There are lots
Right.
of opportunities that are untapped. And sometimes people go, no, I don't want to bring people into, I don't want to bring those people into town. What are you talking about? You know, if you bring people into town and it's going to open up businesses that are sustainable, that does nothing but help the tax base and everybody's happy, you know? So
Yep.
I don't know. Well, I wish you well, sir. And I'm
Thank
glad
you.
we finally, you know, got you here, you know, within our little halls here. So hopefully you'll come back just to, you know, chew the riffraff with me. Because
That
I am
sounds
the
good.
riffraff apparently in this town. So anyway, so thank you very much, Cortland. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Good luck,
Thank you for
sir.
having.
Good luck, sir. We're glad to have you.
Good to meet you.
Yeah.
All
Have a
right,
great
so,
day. Thank you for doing this.
No problem. My pleasure. It's Cortland Kinney running for planning and zoning. He's already on the board, looking for his seat to be reelected. So great guy. He's a really nice guy. He's been in the community for for generations. His family has been. So that definitely brings its perks for sure. What do you got to say so far, Paul, about our candidates that we've had in from the Democratic Town Committee?
Well, I think I learned a lot about them as far as, you know, what their background is. Yeah, I think that's important for me. I mean, I'm not registered.
Yeah.
I'm not registered as either party.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of neutral. And like I say, some of the people I don't even know, even though they've been running it on boards for a long time, but getting their background and why they're there. That's the important thing to me. You know, you qualify to do this job.
Right.
So I think we found out a lot of stuff this morning.
Yeah.
Who they are.
Like, for example, Gary Bollock, for example, running for Board of Finance.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the name, and I know there are a lot of Bollocks in Plainfield.
Yeah.
But I had no idea what his background was, and
Right.
now that he's he's here in the town of Griswold and running for Board of Finance, I had no idea.
Right.
And just to find out his background
Sure.
and everything, I think is great for everybody to know. Look, we're not telling you who to vote for. You know, we're not sitting here putting our stamp saying, "Yep, these are the candidates you want." We want to bring this information to you so you can make a decision based on what you hear on both sides of the coin.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Vote for what you think is the right candidate.
If anybody
Do
says
the job.
anything different, you're nuts.
Yeah.
So we don't play that game here.
Mm.
All right, let's bring in. We still have more candidates.
More?
How about Leona?
Oh boy.
Is she still here?
I don't know.
Or did she split saying, I'm not doing this? I hear he's roasting people in there.
No, I'm still here.
We're only roasting people because it's so damn hot because that door got shut.
I know. I think it just helps with the background noise.
Oh, well, there's nobody here now. So there's only a few people.
Yeah, just a couple people left.
It's just Rich and Todd, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Leona.
Hi, Mike and Paul.
Well, that's
Come right up to the. There you go. Very good.
Thank you.
You know, you were when we first started doing this and any kind of talk show or anything, you were one of our very first guests. Do you remember?
I do. I used to listen faithfully all the time.
You used to. Wow,
Well,
that's great.
I
Jeez, don't
no all the time. Now, over the
Busy
last
lady.
right over the last couple of years, life has gotten a lot busier.
Sure.
So I can't listen to it as often as I like to, but do I still? Absolutely.
You
And if I
were-
don't catch it, then I catch it on Facebook.
That's the thing, and that's it's like are people watching us live now? Absolutely, but will tenfold watch afterwards? That's
Absolutely.
the power of this stuff. Is it's out there available on on different forms of social media so they can catch what they want when they want.
Yep.
So, but yeah, you were one of our very first guests. It was Al Gear that he was running a talk show. I forget what it was called. Maybe Mr. Jewett City talks to ...
Yeah, it was like on the streets with Mr. Jewett City or something. He used to go to the local businesses, I remember,
Yeah.
and he would interview different people, you know, at different times.
And you came to Charlene's.
Yes, I
Yep.
did. Yep, and I was
And,
interviewed there at Charlene's. Yeah,
that was fun. And I'm sitting there with I'm going, how am I going to pull
and
this
look how
off?
far you've come from there. You know, from grassroots to where you are today.
We have a whole building now.
Yeah, it's a huge accomplishment.
We've grown, which is good, and it's good to see that the entire town is growing as well. And I think you're a big part of that. You've been a part of that for some time now. You know, from humble beginnings with being the borough
Mm-hmm.
town collector, now with being the town and borough. You're doing it all.
Yep, I do a little bit of everything.
How do you find the time?
I don't know. Some days.
That's a big undertaking.
You know, when I started working for the borough of Jewett City, that was back in 2005, and that was my beginnings. They were the ones who opened the window of opportunity for me. So I still stay on. I'm still serve as the part-time secretary. So I do all the agendas, a lot of the filing and
Right.
invoices and purchase orders and things of that nature. And I also obviously help facilitate with some of the grant paperwork.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've always been the person where when the borough was awarded a grant, there's always paperwork and things regarding fair housing, Section 3 compliance, different areas that have to be done. And I'm the person who does all that paperwork that the grant writer needs or the state requires. So I still stay on with them. I work for them part-time 4 days a week. I do it after business hours at the town hall because I work full-time as the town tax collector. So then I do that afterwards. And then I also chair the DTC, which of course now with election cycle is extremely busy. So I'm kind of all over the place.
You know, and I look for the agendas for the Board of Selectmen meeting all the time, and I always see on the agenda Leona Sharkey has specific tax refunds or
Mhm.
whatever. I never see my name.
Me either.
I don't ever see my name.
I haven't seen mine either.
So let's work on that. She's probably gonna tell me, "I'll pay your car taxes, dummy."
No, I'm not going to say that.
No, I'm saying it.
The refunds only occur if some people sometimes they want to write just a average amount. Say their bill was $95, they want to send me a check for $100. Well, it's technically an overpayment. It's your money. We're not going to keep it, so I send them a refund form. Or if they've junked a vehicle, traded it in, something happened, changes to the assessed value on your property, then that can create a refund.
So I'm gonna send 20 extra bucks.
Just to make
Mike-
just to make her send it back. Yeah.
Just to see if I make the agenda. Probably
You just
not,
might.
but tax refund for $20. Anyway. So I don't know. You're probably the one person down in town hall that I don't understand where you find the time for everything that it is that you do. I don't know where you find the time.
I don't either. I don't know. I've always had a strong work ethic. That's just how I was raised
Mhm.
in my home. So, but my biggest problem is I can't say no. People ask me to do stuff and I'm a firm believer in whatever you give out comes back to you. So if somebody's like, hey, I know you're busy, but I could really use your help with this or that. And I'm like, okay,
All
I
right.
really don't have the time, but I have a hard time telling people no.
And I'll be honest. I mean, talk about availability. I mean, how many times have I texted you on a Sunday at about 8:30 p.m. on a silly question, and then boom, you're right there with an answer.
That is true.
You are very accessible. I will say that. Maybe more accessible than you really want to be, but I understand. And when you say, "Well, I can't say no," well,
But I also feel it's important, like you said, and there are many times where we've had late night discussions. It's just if somebody reaches out to you, I just feel it's important that you give them a timely answer. Response is important.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. Like I ask every candidate,
Sure.
what is the background? Where do you come from? Because a lot of people, I mean, I know you're down here, but
Yep.
as I said before, there's a lot of new people moving into town now. They don't know
There
who
is.
you are. So I think it's important that people know who the candidate are and where they came from. and
You're
what their-
right.
Where their experience is. I
Mm-hmm.
know. So
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. And it's a great question. There is a lot of change within our town, people moving out and people moving in. I moved here with my family when I was 6 years old. I'm not afraid to say I will be 48 years old next month. So that tells you how long that I've been living here in the town of Griswold. I am a graduate of Griswold High School. I also did receive my certificate for medical transcription, which is what I started out doing for 10 years prior to getting into tax collection. Virginia Hottie was the one who was retiring and asked if I would like to take over. And I said to her, I have no idea what I'm doing. And she says, well, I'm here to teach you and you're going to go to school. Because what a lot of people don't understand is to be a tax collector, our job is delineated by statute. All of the state statutes tell us how I am to do my job. One of those requirements is you have to be certified through the state of Connecticut to be a tax collector in Connecticut. So that requires 4 courses, 4 exams after each course, and then you have to take a state exam. And now you also have to recertify every 5 years, which means you have to get 50 hours of continuing education credits that you have to meet every 5 years, or you could lose your certification and then you would have to start the whole process all over again. So I started working with her part-time as I was still doing medical transcription. And then I went to school and then I became certified as a tax collector for the state in 2008. I am married. I've been married for 24 years. I've owned my home here for 24 years. I have a son who went through the Griswold school systems, both for elementary and middle school. He did go to high school out of district. He's a Norwich Tech graduate. And that's basically me in a nutshell.
I think that's important that people know that.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people that don't, especially you made a point earlier, is that, especially when we were talking to Valerie, is that the community is turning over. There's so many new people that are coming into our community that are not familiar with people that are already doing the jobs that they do or an office, for what they do. I would venture a guess. A lot of people don't even know that the tax collector is a voted in position.
Correct. And in the state of Connecticut, it's actually split 50-50. Half of the collectors are elected and the other half are appointed and or hired, depending on which town that they work in. So it does vary. I do know that a lot of towns are looking more to going from elected to appointed, because we all know that sometimes with elections, it can be like a popularity contest. But in a position such as that, for example, for me, I am bonded to collect a $21 million budget. You can't just take somebody off the street that doesn't know what they're doing, throw them in there and say, have at it, and walk away and have nobody there to provide direction or tell them the laws that they have to follow in order to complete the job. So a lot of them are trying to change it more from elected to appointed and or hired, whatever the town government should happen to decide to do.
So one thing I do want to say and make it known to anybody that's watching this, or as well as who's watching it later on after the fact, and I want to make sure I said this in front of you, who's the chairman of the Democratic Town Committee, is that we reached out to both the Democratic Town Committee and the Republican Town Committee. I reached out on the same day to both both organizations, giving them both the same opportunity to come in and create a live show / podcast to showcase your candidates. If anybody is not happy with that, well, then I would go ahead and I would make your issue known with that committee. I can tell you this right now: we have not solided up a date or been given a date by the Republican Town Committee. So the opportunity is there; it has been there, and it's up to them if they want to go ahead and take advantage of that. Leona went ahead and we formed up a date, pretty much right away. and we're glad to do it. We would be glad to do it for them as well. So I do want to make that crystal clear that it's been offered on both sides of the coin. So when anybody, if they have any hard words to say, know the facts of what we do here before. Because Paul, we've been subject to a couple of jabs here and there,
Yeah.
and it's like,
And I'm not registered either as a Democrat or a Republican. I'm
Mhm.
independent, so
Okay.
I can go either way.
Sure.
So,
And in all fairness, I think, and I've said it to Mike before, I've always said it, he's always been fair to both sides, whoever the candidates are, whether it was the Democrats or the Republicans, he's always been fair through the years to allow them to come in and, do these kind of interviews with them, ask questions, allow them to introduce themselves, tell a little bit about why they're running for the positions they are. So I thank you for that. I think you've been fair to everybody across the board through the years.
and I thank you for coming in, and anybody that comes in from whatever party, that you belong to, just because the idea behind what we do here, and I'll end it with this, is just to bring information to the community, because I'm so tired of hearing people going, well, I didn't know.
I know.
I didn't know that was going on. I didn't.
It happens often. We all see it. We all read it. It's important that people, if they want to get answers, that they should go to the source to get the answers and to get the facts, and and not base it off of opinions that people share on social media platforms.
Because nobody gets elected in Griswold now, folks.
No,
It just doesn't happen.
No, they don't.
Not a fan.
But I
Anyway.
would like to say, to kind of segue off of what Paul was saying about being an independent or an unaffiliated, whatever your party registration happens to be, on our local level where it affects us the most, it's important to look at the people, to be an educated voter, learn, whether they have past experience, what they can bring to the table if they don't have any experience, because it's good to mix the new with experience. That's how these boards continue to function well and move forward.
Yeah. And when you're talking small town politics, really, honestly, there's not a lot of difference sometimes in between, the aisle,
Right.
people on the right, people on the left, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, you can't compare it to the federal
No.
level. No,
You can't compare it to the national level. There's
No,
no
no.
comparison
None
whatsoever.
whatsoever.
And it's important, especially for us here, that both sides of the aisle do work well together to do their job, and that's to make our community better for whatever respective board or commission that they sit on.
It's very, very important.
Right.
It's very important. So, Leona, here's your shot. Why do the residents of the town of Griswold vote for you for tax collector to continue your job?
I feel for the last 5 years that I've served as the town tax collector, I've been a tax collector in total for 16 years now. I've always made it a point to make an experience that, first of all, nobody likes to pay taxes. People come into the office and nobody's happy about paying taxes, myself included, but it is part of our world that we live in and our reality. So I try to make it a pleasant experience. I greet everybody with a smile. I try to make small conversation to make the experience not only quick and efficient, but pleasant at the same time, so they don't feel like, okay, this was horrible, because I have heard horror stories from other people from other offices in other towns, and I don't want that to be that way here. Most of us know one another. We've gone to school one another. We've seen, somebody knows somebody through our children, family members, whatever the case may be. You want to keep the rapport a good rapport with your fellow residents and taxpayers, because not all taxpayers are residents. So I try to make it a good, friendly experience for everyone.
Very, very good. Now, you said that, which I think is cute and funny, but is that you have to have certain education, to continue as a tax collector, right? To
Correct.
collect it, right? But to be a
Yes.
taxpayer, all you got to do is breathe.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
funny.
Yeah, they have a checkbook.
And have a checkbook. You don't even need that anymore. You need a debit card or
Or cash.
You know,
Cash
yeah.
is always king still.
can I pay with my cryptocurrency? That might happen someday. You never know.
You never know.
So Pam Padalano, who's been active this morning in the chat group, says Leona does a wonderful job as tax collector. She knows the law inside and out and does her job by the book.
That
That's
I
from-
do.
that's
Whether
from
you're
Pam.
friends, family, or otherwise, everyone is treated the same.
I've never been, I'll be honest with you, with your disposition and just, the cheery person that you are, I've never been so happy to pay my damn taxes.
And in fairness, I get that a lot from a lot of the
Yeah.
people that come in to pay. They always say, "Thank you for being so nice," because I didn't want to do this. And I'm like, I understand that, and personality and friendliness goes a long
I
way.
think so too. So good luck on election day.
Thank you.
And
Thank you
appreciate
for
coming
having
in.
me both.
No, and thank you for really organizing all of the candidates that were able to come in this morning. We still have the Board of Selectmen folks to talk to yet,
Yes.
but thank you for organizing that. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you guys. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you, Leona. Let's go. Leona Sharkey running for tax collector here in the town of Griswold. She's the incumbent and looking to continue that job. And I think that's one of those jobs that you really have to enjoy and enjoy being part of the community, because you're community facing
Oh yeah,
every single day.
probably one of the most hated people in town.
Well, no, but it's true though. That's a tough job.
It's a tough job.
That's probably one of the toughest jobs in this town. It's like,
Right.
here, I'm coming for your money.
You're right.
You know what I mean? But it's part of the world we
Especially-
live in, is what she said,
Well,
which is true.
especially when you're late and they walk in and you got to give an extra 5% or whatever.
I've been late. I'm late now.
I know you got to pay
Yeah.
extra. Some people don't like that.
It's just what it is. But you
Yeah.
know what? You ever make a loan payment late and they make you feel like you're whatever?
Yeah.
Never have I ever
Yeah.
felt, I've been late on my tax payments. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I eventually pay them, but I am late sometimes,
Yeah.
like other people. I'm not the
Well-
only one. And I've never felt any kind of like I was low on the society totem pole.
Yeah.
She's always been very kind and considerate and stuff like that. So anyway, that's Leona.
Yeah.
And we appreciate her coming in this morning. All right. We have two more folks to talk to. See if they can hear us in the green room.
I hope you're enjoying that nice coffee and tea and donuts.
I hope you enjoyed the continental breakfast that was supplied this morning for you gentlemen.
Yeah, were the flowers fine?
I was still looking for the coffee. I didn't see it yet.
Neither did I. That's gone.
You got the last cup.
I got the last one. All right. So we now have our last two candidates in here. Somebody that we see quite often and somebody that we don't see that often. First Selectman Todd Babbitt and the Selectman Rich Grabowski. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having us.
No problem. Rich, I want to jump right out and say and apologize to you publicly. The last time I had a problem with any kind of tax collector, I yelled and screamed at you one day. I don't know if you remember. You probably do.
I probably got yelled at a lot. So
I did, but I have to say I was wrong that day, and I don't think I've ever told you that. And when I did, I sat there and I berated you. I mean, you just sit there and
I've heard it before.
and so I was wrong, and I apologize for that. But I'm sure glad that you're here now. So how was retirement?
It's wonderful. It's a wonderful thing.
Is it?
Yeah.
I hear that when people retire, you ask them how they're doing, they'll say something like I never knew I had time to actually go to work. I'm so busy.
That's a lot of truth to that. A lot of truth to that.
So what kind of things do you do in your retirement that maybe you didn't get a chance to do while you were working as tax collector? Because you were the predecessor to Leona Sharkey.
Yes. I was. I mean, I still do. I have a part-time job. I work a couple nights a week just to get out and of course, with being a selectman, you've got other duties other than our meetings. But it's a challenge and it's interesting, very interesting, and I'm enjoying it. And you yard work and visit with my family and do golfing with some friends once a week, and that's pretty much what I do.
Good for you. Good for you. Now, Sandra's your wife, right?
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
Now, she was a school nurse, wasn't she? At
She
one
was a
point,
school nurse, and she taught.
she was my school nurse. Just to give you an idea, I don't know. You'll never remember this because you probably. But she one time it was the grammar school,
Yeah,
right?
That's where she started.
She was really concerned about my weight to the point where she came to my house and talked to my mother, and she said, look, we want to put a plan together, and that's actually what got my mother started in nursing, just so you know.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
So I never
I'll let her know.
passed that along. Yeah. Well, I did pass it along to Lisa Coe. I guess her and Lisa are very
Yeah,
good friends.
Very good.
Anyway, so you leave as the tax collector in the town of Griswold, and what makes you say, "Ha, I'm going to jump right back into the fire and become a selectman"? What was the thought process behind that?
Well, I've always, I've been an elected official in Griswold for over 35 years, and I enjoyed every minute of it. The challenge and the working together with with people like Todd and Leona and those people. It's a rewarding experience. I've liked being involved with municipal work and in my community. I mean, I bleed green and white. I'm a lifelong resident, and it's something I enjoy doing.
So you're looking to get reelected into the selectman position again?
Yes.
What kind of goals do you have coming around this time around, going into a possible second term?
Well, I'm excited about the future of Griswold. I think we got a lot of good things coming forward. We're going to be implementing the sewer lines and water lines into the commercial zones, and hopefully develop those areas and broaden the tax base and help take the relief, some of it, off the homeowners. It's always been our goal.
Sure. Well, the bottom line is you live in this community too.
Yes.
And
That's true.
I think people forget that. And, as far as whether they're a taxpayer, whether they're a non-resident taxpayer or voter, whatever, however they're involved in the community, that you guys live in the community too. So no matter what side of the aisle you're on, you're trying to better it.
Right.
Either way. So, and I think that's very important for people to know. Pam, who's been little Miss Chatty this morning. Good morning, Pam. These two are a great team. I said tomb, didn't I? Sorry.
Halloween's coming.
Along with Jared, there is no drama or BS. What you see is what you get. Honest, hardworking, community and growth focused. They know the town and its residents, and they care. They are committed to moving Griswold forward. You want to comment on that, Todd?
Well, I'll just say, like Rich, I've lifelong resident, worked for the town for 28 years. I think I know the town. I know the people, or a lot of the people. And, it's like you said, you are living here. I'm going to continue to live here. You're trying to do the best you can to move the town forward, so everybody can continue to reside here.
Exactly. Because really, there's going to be a day where you're not going to be first selectman again, and there's going to be a day you're not going to be a selectman, and you're going to be just in the community.
Yep.
I mean, you just kind of want to do the right thing anyway, right? And shoot your conscience, because otherwise it's going to make it rough.
Yeah, no, it would. And, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to continue to stay here.
Come on, Todd. Come on, Paul.
I know
You're picking up the slack this morning.
I can see that again.
He walks in today. What's going on? Well, we have the entire Democratic Town Committee. Oh, maybe I should find some questions. Usually all he does is the weather. So, so I can't really bitch at the guy.
Straight off the hip. I guess a lot of people know you as a tax collector, but do they know Rich? I mean, what's the Rich background? I mean, other than being a tax collector.
Well, I mean, as far as background is concerned, I'm born and raised in this community, went through school here, enlisted in the Air Force for 4 years, came home, began to get involved with community affairs, first with the Rec Commission, and then later on with the Board of Finance. While I was on the Board of Finance, I also served on the school building committee that built the high school and created that campus.
I didn't know
we
that.
I
had.
didn't know either.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Again, as I said to the other candidates, it's very important that people know what your background is. All I know you is a tax collector.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that.
Well, I was a tax collector for 24 years. So
I
that's
know,
old.
but-
Well, that's how they identified with you, but I had no idea you were in the school board, the school building committee.
Yes. I'm
No idea.
very proud of that. Very proud of that. We were able to accomplish and get that whole process started up there.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's hard talking about yourself. That's the other thing, but it's also important that people know who you are.
Yes.
What your background is. Todd, I know. I mean, I know your background, but maybe you want to tell us. I mean,
Well, I mean, like I said, I've worked here 28 years. I started out in public works, worked my way up in the public works department. Ran for first selectman in 2017, completing the second term now. I've been involved with the Griswold Fire Company for 30 years. I was chief for 6 years there. I served as chair of the ordinance committee. I don't know, we started probably 2014, 15, in that time frame, reviewing some of the ordinances we had on the books that needed to be updated. I sat on the recycling committee. Currently, I sit on the board of directors for the Preston Incinerator for the town. And I also sit on the board and the executive board for the Eastern Regional Tourism District. And I'm on the executive board at the incinerator also, the regular and the executive.
So you're at a meeting every night.
It can be a busy schedule
Yeah.
sometimes. You try to make as many as you can, and if you don't, I try to read the minutes or listen to the audio so you can keep up on what's going on. It's impossible to make them all, I'll be honest with you.
Sure. So, I guess why a third term? I mean, what makes you? I mean, I think it's easy to say that you've had 2 successful terms. You know what's going on, but why put yourself through it again and go through another?
I want to try to carry on what we have moving. Some of the development, like we have the data centers, things kind of slowed down with COVID, I'll be honest, and I think if we didn't have that 18-month period, we'd be a lot further ahead. We have 3 or 4 new developers that have approached the town, one at exit 24, one at the Wirewind site. And, we're going to be breaking ground next year for the sewer extension on both 164, 201. Love to see that through. We're going to do the sewer first and then come back and do the water. USDA wants to do it as 2 projects. So, for the sake of grant funding, we're going to
You have to do it their way.
So we can maximize that. So, there's a lot that we've got moving that I'd like to continue, seeing through.
Rich, same question. I mean, why another term? I mean, you've had a very successful town career, in public service. Yet here we are.
I enjoy it. I enjoy being involved and working with people like Todd. We make progress. Sometimes it's slow moving, but it's always challenging, and I enjoy doing it. And it's something I've done my whole adult life, so in one facet or another. But so I just want to continue on.
So now you gentlemen, of course, are on the Board of Selectmen currently. How important is it for people to pay attention to local goings-ons, as opposed to watching like Fox or CNN and what's going on nationally? What's the importance, or how important is it to pay attention to what's going on in your own backyard, so to speak?
Well, I think that being because it affects you more directly. What goes on nationally at the state level, sometimes it kind of filters down to you. But at this level, whatever decisions are made and moving forward affects everybody here at this level.
Tom?
I agree with Rich. The biggest thing I'll say is it seems like on a regular basis we don't get big turnouts at the meetings, but if you have a larger topic, then you'll get some people to turn out. And the biggest thing I can say is, when we look at the budget and the budget hearings, and the budget meeting at the school that we have, before we go to referendum, I think we had 6 or 8 people, and the biggest thing you hear is, well, how come we don't have, the funds to do this, or how come we can't do that? And, it's just, that's when people need to come out and voice their opinions so things can be adjusted. Everybody wants their road done, but we only have limited funds each year to do that. And, we follow what the road study that we had paid for. We follow what they advise, but, we've never funded what they told us we should fund each year. We haven't been able to. I don't think it's anybody's fault that's in an elected position or on a board or a commission. You need to get that balance between satisfying the departments, I guess I want to say, but yet still following the expectation of the taxpayers as much as you can, but keep it affordable. So that there's a big balance there. And I think if people came out more to some of those, especially the budget meetings, and voice their opinions, I think it would be helpful.
Rich, just a quick question. What do you feel in all of your years of public service? What do you feel that you have either made the greatest impact in a direct or in a result, or what is you feel maybe is your defining moment as far as being involved in public service?
I don't know if I have a defining moment, but I have a couple of areas that I feel strongly about. One I alluded to earlier, being on the school building committee and being able to get that off the ground, because prior to that, there was a couple of failed referendums, and that the elementary school had been on double sessions. Then they were into renting portable classrooms, and so anyway, with the group that was formed on that committee, we were able to get the referendum passed and build the school, and it was like a 6 or 7 year process, but from beginning to end and from design to finish, and so I was always very proud of that. The second thing was when I was first got elected to the Board of Finance. To be honest with you, everything was done along party lines, and I always felt that was the wrong approach, but that's the way it was. And fortunately, a few years after that, some people, and I don't want to mention names, but a couple of Republican fellows and a couple of Democratic fellows, we all got together and on the Board of Finance, and we decided we were able to deal with issues as they are and not along party lines. So we were independent thinkers, young people with young families, and we wanted to see if we get things done. We were able to create a surplus that wasn't there before because the bonding people, required it, to keep the rates low. And we were able to do that. And we actually built the school. And if we want to go back and look at the tax years for 3 or 4 years during the latter part of construction, we didn't even raise the mill rate. So
it's pretty amazing in that kind of a project.
Well, we were able to do some things financing wise that you can't do today. The rules change as but we were able to do that. We had some good people advising us, and the architects and so forth, and banking people. So we were able to accomplish quite a bit. So between the Board of Finance and the School Building Committee, I think those are 2 areas that I'm most proud of.
Donna Langlois says you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Todd, second verse, same as the first. What do you think is your either defining moment or the thing that you're most proud of as far as, and it could be, before being a selectman, it could be anything that you choose.
We'll focus on the term of selectman. I think, putting forward the infrastructure extension out there for bonding to get this moving, to attract commercial to those areas. It's been talked about for years, but nobody put that package together, put it out there, educated, the taxpayers at numerous different open sessions to talk about what we were going to be doing and why. I think that was a big accomplishment, and I think we're on the right track. We've had many developers that came in the first year or 2 I was here that wanted to come here, but without infrastructure, they're ready to go, and they're not going to wait for you. You have to be ready
That's
for
what
them.
Court Kinney was saying too. You got to have the infrastructure, or else you got nothing.
That's what drives everything. So we're getting there, and I know some people, think it might be a slow process, and it is. And again, there's so many people that were working remotely at the state level, the federal level that we've been dealing with. It's not, a same day return call. It could be 2-3 days, could be a week. Some of the state offices, they're going in once a week to get their voice messages because they can't be in with other people. They have to coordinate, and it just ties things up and creates a lot of delay.
Well, one thing I'll say about you is you're very precise, and you don't. My history with you is you don't talk about things you are not 100% sure on. Period.
Correct. I try to make sure everything's behind what I'm saying.
I have there have been times where I have when we first started getting acclimated to one another, I would send you an email and it's like, I didn't hear back. What the hell? And now I understand, because I understand your personality and how you do things now. And like a couple weeks ago, I sent a question to you, and it took about 4 or 5 days. But what I understand about Todd Babbitt is that you probably spent more time trying to figure out what I, or the nature of what I asked you to give me the 100% clear answer that I wanted or needed.
Yes, it took me a little
So
time.
it takes time. In other words,
took
was
me
what I'm
a
saying.
little while to verify what you were asking.
Right. But you did, and
I did.
it's pretty cool that when you can talk to the first selectman and you know that you're going to get the answer. You may not like it, you may like it, but you're going to get the answer. So, Rich, why do people need to vote for you?
Well, I think
Tell America right there.
I think I appreciate any votes that I get along the way. I think I do a good job, and I'm here to serve the people of Griswold, and I hope they support me on November 2nd.
Okay, Todd, same question again. Why do we vote for Todd Babbitt for first selectman?
Well, I think to continue moving forward what we've been working on and completing the things that are in motion, and like I said, we all got to live here, so I think that's what I look at is I want to continue to live here and doing the right thing, and hopefully everybody sees it that way. I appreciate you having us on, and everybody come out and vote on the 2nd.
All right, thank you very much. We'll have you on again, of course, anyway, because being the first selectman, we always get great updates from you, and it's always nice to have you, Rich. Last time you didn't really talk too much, but then now it's like I don't care. But it's nice to have both of you on here. Good luck on election day.
Thank you.
Just want to one more time. I'm going to say it. The Republican Town Committee, they were offered the very same offer that the DTC has, and that they've executed today. I am going to extend that until the end of this week. One thing I'm not going to do, Paul, is I'm not going to go 3 days before election and then all of a sudden we want to do something, because I don't think that's fair to either yourself, the voters, or the DTC. And I would say the same thing to you guys too. So we'll extend that to the end of this week, and we'll be more than happy to have you, the RTC, on with your candidates to speak to the town of Griswold. So anyway, we appreciate your time, and we will talk to you very, very soon, I'm sure. And good luck on election
Thank
day.
you, Mike.
All right.
Thanks, Paul.
All right, Mr. Todd Babbitt, Mr. Richard Grabowski, first selectman, and selectman here in the town of Griswold. Paul, we had some really good conversations today, got some really good information.
Yep. I think we got some good information on who people are.
Yeah. If you have not seen the entire interview, this is going to be posted on YouTube. It's going to be posted on Facebook. It's going to be posted pretty much all over the place. So you can go back and view it. Take it easy. You can view it and rewatch it, whatever you want to do. The important part of this is so the town of Griswold, they know who their candidates are.
Exactly.
And again, RTC, glad to have you on. You got to let us know, though.
Yeah.
And we'll be more than happy to accommodate.
Right. Because I think they need to let people know who their
Yeah.
candidates are and what
Absolutely.
their backgrounds
Absolutely. We'll be more than happy to do it. And we look forward to the opportunity to having the RTC on as well. So, all right, that's going to wrap it up.
are. Okay.
Pretty good morning. I appreciated everybody that came in.
Yep.
And a lot of great information as we talked about. So tomorrow we'll be back once again right here on SNSN. Have a great day, everyone. And we'll see you tomorrow right here on SNSN.